Hey there, it's Kevin. Today I've got my Mini-30 out. I've had this rifle for about 5 years. This is the shorter tactical version that Ruger makes. Got a cheap, inexpensive red dot on this rifle. We're going to start by firing some PMC, brass case, boxer primed ammunition, 5 rounds. And then we're going to go ahead and we're going to shoot 10 rounds of TulAmmo Berdan-primed steel case. So let's get to it. Our targets, 3 water-filled jugs. We'll go ahead and shoot for you guys. Now we'll go ahead and shoot our steel case, TulAmmo, 10 rounds. See how it shoots. Nothing like a little aromatherapy. And there you have it. Ruger Mini-30, 15 rounds, fired the steel case just fine. Let's go in and talk about it. So here's the rifle you all are here to see today. It's the Ruger Mini-30, of course. As I said earlier, I've owned this rifle for a little over 5 years. This video is going to be pretty brief. I'm just going to give you a talk about this rifle, my experience with it, my opinion. My hope is that you guys will be able to learn something, and if you're looking to buy this firearm, maybe it'll motivate you to purchase it, which I do recommend. Some of you may disagree with what I have to say, and that's okay. If you want to add something to this video, go ahead and comment below, and I'll be sure to look into what you have to say. So this is the rifle. This is their so-called tactical version. I suspect they call it that because of the shorter barrel and all of the blacked out components on it, which is much different than some of their other versions, which have a stainless barrel, a wood stock, or other options. One thing I do want to talk about is the reliability of this firearm. As I've said, I've had it for about 5 years. I've put hundreds of rounds through it. Zero issues, really. I love the gun. It cycles very well. It's been very reliable for me, very accurate. Everything is very easy to learn how to use. You have your Garand style platform here, which is very much the same as the M1 Garand. Your safety is very easy to understand. Just push it out. If you don't feel your safety in there, you're ready to fire. Push it in. Safety's on, and obviously you can feel that just by sticking your finger in the trigger guard. The stock on this rifle is very well made. Of course, it's a black synthetic stock, much like any ordinary rifle stock. It seems to be very well made, like I said. I have no complaints with this rifle stock. It's very comfortable to hold, very durable. I love the stock. Another thing I want to mention is this rubber butt pad. It's very comfortable when I'm shooting, and as I'm shooting, it seems to stay put in my shoulder. So I really enjoy this rubber butt pad, and I have no complaints there. Of course, you have 2 mounting points for a sling on the rear of the stock and on the front right here. Obviously, I have a sling mounted to it, just an inexpensive padded sling. I do shoulder this rifle pretty much every time I use it, and it's very comfortable to lug around. It's a nice medium weight rifle. It's not so heavy that it's going to be very fatiguing for somebody, and it's not so light that when you shoot it, it feels like it's going to fly out of your arms. So the weight on this rifle is perfect in my opinion. As I said earlier, this is the M1 style platform. You have your rotating bolt, as you can see, and the sights as well. Very much the same as the M1 Grand. You'll see on top there I have a inexpensive red dot that I just picked up from Walmart to toy around with, and I'm very happy with that. But I wanted to show you as well this rail that mounts here and here to the top of the receiver to mount a scope or something like that. As you can see, I have my red dot on there. That actually comes with the firearm, and I ordered this firearm directly from Ruger through a dealer, so you should expect to get that if you order it that way. Another thing that I'd really like to mention about this firearm is the magazines. So I don't have any complaints about the reliability, the functionality of these magazines. They're very easy to load. As you'll see here, I just click right in, you rock them in, kind of like an AK, but not the same exactly. You pull this pin, and let me see if I can do it for you with one hand, and you just pull it out. Pretty simple to learn, simple to do every day. No complaints with that. The thing that I have a huge problem with, and this is probably my biggest problem with the whole rifle in general, is the cost and the availability of other options. So these magazines, if you're going to buy them, the Ruger brand, they're about $30 to $50 depending on where you buy them and what condition you buy them. So they're very expensive if you're familiar with AR rifles or similar rifles where you can get a decent magazine for, you know, 10, 20 bucks or even less. So they're very expensive magazines, to say the least, $30 to $50. There are a few companies that make other magazines for the Mini-30 or Mini-14, like P-Mag. Specifically for the Mini-30, I've never used a P-Mag, but I will say that everyone that I've looked into, they have very poor reviews, so that would lead me to think that they don't function very well. And again, this is my opinion, but if you're going to buy a magazine, it should function well, because if it doesn't function, that could be a problem. And just really does not add to, it takes away from your shooting experience overall. So when we were outside, I was shooting some PMC bronze. That's the case right there. Cycles very well. Clean burning ammunition. No complaints there. Love it. Another type of ammo that we shot outside was the Tula, and that was 10 rounds, of course. Now, I put a lot more than 10 rounds through this gun. I've actually put, hundreds of rounds through this firearm. That's another thing that I really want to mention to you guys, is steel case, cheap ammunition, cycled through a Mini-30 specifically. I've had no major complaints, no major issues running that ammunition through this firearm. For those of you that aren't familiar, the cheaper ammo that you'll buy that's made in Russia or other similar areas usually comes with a Berdan primer in the steel case. And specifically as it relates to this firearm, the Berdan primer is a harder primer to my knowledge, and that requires a harder strike to set off the round and fire it. If I'm mistaken, you guys can let me know down in the comments, but that's to my knowledge. So the problem that some people have had with these rifles when they shoot the cheaper ammunition with the harder primers is they'll have misfires, where it'll hit the primer and it won't go off. I will say I've had a few of those, maybe 3 or 4 or 5. But again, I've put hundreds of rounds through this rifle of the Berdan-primed cheaper ammunition, and very, very seldom do I ever have a misfire or other problems with this rifle cycling that type of ammunition. And when I have had misfires, I load them back into the firearm, carefully of course, and they fire on the second or third strike. I've never had any other issues other than that. And if that's one of your primary hesitations with this rifle, let me just tell you, don't worry about it. If you're going to use it in a situation for hunting, self-defense, or whatever you're going to do where you need the reliability of ammunition that's going to fire and cycle properly, just get some brass case ammunition. That'll do the job for you. And when you want to toy around with it and just have some fun, that steel case ammunition is going to be good 98% of the time. At least that's been my experience. Of course, this rifle does MS retail for about $1,000. I think I paid more around $800 or $900 5 years ago. I did get a good deal, I believe, on this rifle. But that's most of what I want to talk to you guys about. Just a brief talk about this rifle, showing you guys some of the features, some of the opinions that I have on the rifle and how it works. If you guys have any questions or comments on this video, please feel free to drop them down in the comments section, of course. Leave a thumbs up, subscribe, it really helps me out. And I'd be happy to respond to your comments if you have any. And thank you guys for watching.